kind of am leaning more towards the idea that he doesn't die, but voluntarily steps down, possibly due to health, maybe a combination of the politics being too much for him and influencing his health as well. I was getting the sense of wind blowing really hard, harsh, just harsh weather for vegetation, for farming. And along with that, a sense of there being some type of greed that has taken over, like corporate greed, that has kind of just destroyed humanity. Hello, everyone. My name is Ty. I go by Psychic Ty online. Um, I'm just going to do a quick introduction for myself for the channel of Life After Life. So I started doing psychic readings not too long ago, but around 2018 or so is when I really started doing them. Um, I wasn't a natural psychic. I was intuitive to some degree. I was an empath, very much so to the point where I would not even speak to my classmates. And in preschool, I would even whisper things into my teacher's ears because I was afraid of people hearing my voice because I was just so empathic and that was kind of weird. But I've changed a lot since then. And I started taking classes at a school called Portland Psychic School, which is no longer around. And during that training, I started giving readings and it just kind of blew up. And I started a YouTube channel just for fun to see what would happen, just to make predictions and see how it went. And from there, I started doing monthly psychic predictions every month. That grew bigger and bigger. Eventually, I started making big predictions. For example, I predicted around the year 2020, towards the end of 2020, I said that in the year 2022, it seemed like there was going to be a war. And at first, I was like, well, it seems like there might be a war. I'm not sure. It seems like there could be something really bad like that. But then I continued reading it. It was a live reading. And later on to the reading, I was like, well, I see Moscow, aka Russia, and Ukraine and the US in a war, but I don't see the US directly involved, and that's going to happen in 2022. And that is what happened. And so I just started making big, like major predictions. And then because of that, my channel blew up. And that's where I'm at right now. For September of this year, what I was saying in my prediction video for the month was that I was seeing lots of, well, explosions and escalations. Um, Last month, I said something about Colombia, and then we saw the situation with the cartels and all that, which is, I think, Venezuela, which is right next to Colombia, which kind of involves the same drug cartels. And I did see a lot of explosions. People were speculating that that's what I was getting at the beginning of the month. But I was also seeing Donald Trump being kind of disappointed or confused was the word that I said and not sure how to react. So what we've seen since then actually is um, the drones over Poland that have been shot down and blamed on Russia. And this seems to be what I was seeing for September and how it's playing out. And Donald Trump definitely seems to be avoiding the question, not really sure how to respond. So I think that that was what it was. Besides for that, just general chaos. I was seeing Russia, I think the word I used was destroying Ukraine. Not completely, but that has actually been happening in the news for September already. And I do see that continuing. Since way back, I've been saying that Russia will be taking over Ukraine, not all of Ukraine, but slowly building the border back. I said this way back when it first started. At first, people told me I was crazy because everyone was saying Russia's gonna take over Ukraine overnight. Ukraine has no chance. And then, like a week later, everyone was saying, no, the US is backing Ukraine. Russia has no chance. What you're saying is crazy. Russia will never hold any ground. But the whole time I've just been saying the same thing, and that's what we've been seeing is Russia slowly taking land and claiming that territory. I don't think that it's going to go back. And I don't see Russia completely taking over Ukraine either. But I do see that being the case where they're going to keep the territory. Now it's becoming more obvious that that seems to be everybody can kind of see how that makes sense now, whereas before it sounded crazy. I did say like 3 months ago or something that around this time, Ukraine could potentially be surrendering. But last month I said that I don't think it's going to be happening quite yet. But there has been talks of that. And there's a lot of ceasefire discussions. But as far as September, um, I was seeing the previous month as being kind of the eye of the storm, and then September being where everything just erupts and goes crazy. Um, I do feel like this is going to continue for a little while. Um, I feel as though many of the things that are happening, like necessary, but not positive in a way that sometimes bad things have to happen in order for the truth to come out, and I do see a lot of truth coming out. I did predict that there would be more Epstein information released this month, and we've already seen that happening for September. Basically, most of my September predictions have already happened, to be honest. What I see for the United States is that there's a lot of economic problems. That's what I've been saying for 2025. I did say that the second half of the year I thought might start to do a little bit better. That was before 2025 started. I don't think it's going to do that much better, but there may be a feeling like things are improving because of, well, the tariff scare was pretty bad and we're kind of through that. So I think the feeling is that the economy is a little less scary. But I did see Donald Trump possibly stepping down in 2027. Actually, this has also been something I've heard from other psychics as well. But of course, this was what came through for me in my 2025 psychic prediction video before 2025 started. And I get the sense that this could be health related, but I also got the sense that it could be politically related too, maybe somewhere in between. Other people say that he may be assassinated. I'm not 100% sure on that. I kind of am leaning more towards the idea that he doesn't die, but voluntarily steps down, possibly due to health and maybe a combination of the politics being too much for him and influencing his health as well. That's what I would speculate based on the sense that I was getting. But it seems like there's a lot of changes going on around that year. Actually, 2027 is a year that I've been talking about for um since 2020. Actually, it was like one of my maybe the fifth YouTube video I ever made. I was talking about 2027 being kind of the I don't know what to call it, just the process that we're going through, where of course it's going to keep going, but that was the main phase for the economic shift as far as that goes. And I was saying that we may even see a new form of currency. That was way back in 2020, where that sounded a lot more crazy than it does now. I'm not sure that we're necessarily going to see a new form of currency completely take over the US dollar, but I think that by 2027 we could be working with a lot more digital currencies, that's for sure. But I feel that that is about the end of this process where the old system is kind of playing itself out and being getting ready for the next step, which goes from around, well, 2027 to 2030, where that seems like a different phase to me, where there's going to be more new technology and things just become much more like high tech feeling. That's just the sense I get about it. Um, and then from there, heading forward, there's going to be kind of like the last stand between the old powers that are trying to reach back up and grab us, because they've been kind of pushed away. They're crumbling away, and then after 2030, it's like they're trying to creep back up the best that they can, and with that, there's a lot of destruction to them and humanity. But through that, it seems as though there's a lot that clears from the past and we move to a much more high-tech civilization. And so the Earth is reacting, and we've been seeing volcanoes, we've been seeing earthquakes, we've been seeing all sorts of things like that. And I get the sense that that is going to be going on for a little while. Probably maybe the next couple of years or so. I'd have to tune in and really get a sense, but I'm just guessing probably a couple more years or so is what I would guess about that as far as how long that will continue for. Actually, I kind of get the sense that it might be more like 3 years um, before the Earth finishes that shift and we see less volcanoes and earthquakes. As far as natural disasters, the last one that I saw was I don't remember what month it was, but in Japan, I said that I get the sense that um, there was somewhere else. There's Japan, and right before that, there was somewhere below. But I said that that area or Japan could be hit with an earthquake, and then they both got hit with an earthquake in the same month. But anyways, that was the last natural disaster that seemed significant that was on my radar. Of course, there's always going to be natural disasters. Um, I don't really see things being too bad anytime soon, but like way further out in the future, I've definitely seen some stuff. As far as that goes, I've seen visions of well, especially Europe in particular, being a lot of it losing land to the water. So I don't know if this means that the land goes down or if the water goes up or a combination of the two. I don't really know. But what I was seeing was that there's less land around Europe and also trade, because I do different readings on different countries or certain land masses sometimes. And something that's come up over and over, especially for the European countries, is trade becoming very challenging in the future. Um, and this was before the whole trade wars with Donald Trump started. So, and I think it's bigger than that. This is something that's like far further out in the future. I would say probably like 5 years out to 10 years out, somewhere around there. And I do see um, a lot of challenges, not necessarily due to natural disasters, but economically as well. that makes shipping dangerous, and I see pirates coming back. And I don't mean pirates where they, one-eyed, not cartoon pirates. What I mean is people who just attack other people on boats and steal their stuff. And that is a real thing that still happens to this day. But I'm especially seeing that becoming an issue for Europe in the next 5 years or so. And I believe that will be related to or corresponding along around the same time as these natural disasters take place. If I should go too far into this, but I'll just go ahead and say where I'm going with all of this, which is that a lot of people view this as the Great Reset and a negative thing, and other people view this as being some sort of conscious evolution of reaching a higher vibration. And people battle between what it is. Is it a unifying of humanity, or is it a new world order taking control? And the way that I view it is that it's actually both happening at the same time. And that's really confusing to some people, but just think about it like this. There's a natural movement that's already happening, which is that humanity is reaching, well, unifying and trying to become more cohesive, work together, work as one, work more in harmony. Um, but there are forces that want to hijack that movement and control it. And so that's what they've been doing. So as we are trying to go into that direction, they're kind of setting traps and making us fall prey to their control and their domination of that field in that direction, where people are trying to unite and improve the world, but get trapped by their power plays and dynamics. And this, you can see this in politics all the time, but it's kind of on a bigger level, bigger than left or right, as far as the left or right wing. Um, so I do see that there is going to be more of a technocratic takeover, but at the very same time, I don't see it lasting forever. I get the year 2038 as this came up for me doing crypto readings, crypto predictions, where 2038 just seemed like this year where cryptos just seem to crash or kind of go up and then get really volatile. And I was like, what's going on? Why are they all doing something weird in 2038? So then I did a reading on 2038, and what I came up with was that there's a lot of environmental issues where crops aren't really growing very well. There's kind of like a desert-like environment. I was getting the sense of wind blowing really hard, harsh, just harsh weather for vegetation, for farming. And along with that, a sense of there being some type of greed that has taken over, like corporate greed, um, that has kind of just destroyed humanity. And I'm not sure exactly the details of that. I don't know like everything. I just get hints and insights into what's going on, and I kind of piece it together. But the sense that I got was that there's something about society where it just kind of was too greedy and kind of backfired. Um, I do think that we are reaching a point before that happens where there's like a point where the tables turn, where the more corrupt, top-down control system becomes less powerful and it starts to become exposed. And I've been saying this for a while now, and that's kind of where we're heading at the moment. But then within that, it kind of creeps back up towards 2038, and then that's kind of like the last draw. Um, but with the destruction of that also comes the destruction of Well, a lot of the systems that we depend on, a lot of, well, basically almost the destruction of humanity, but not quite that extreme, but definitely challenging times. The destruction of the economy, I guess you could say, to some degree. Um, but I do see humanity evolving. I do see advanced technology. I do see very, very advanced technology after that point in time. And it seems like we're slowly getting there where we're going to see more advanced technology. I also get the sense that a lot of the wars going on around the world are actually being fought over advanced technology. And I don't really know exactly what this is because I don't know everything. I just get little pieces of information. But advanced technology seems to be a major theme for what's going on in Ukraine and other places around the world. Also get the sense of there being underground tunnels and things of that under the ground. And when I've done a reading on Putin, I saw him like reaching down to pick up the dirt and like rubbing it in his fingers as if the dirt was like money, you know? And I think that was resources such as minerals in Ukraine. But I also got the sense that there's something more like underground, like some sort of te secret technology, as crazy as that sounds. But anyways, back to the US. I do see the US being part of a big network of countries that kind of create the new way. I don't, there's probably going to be a word for it at some point, but the way I see it, it's just like the new culture, the new unified culture. It's similar to the westernization of the planet in the way that that's already been a thing. But this is much more through technology. And that's what I've been getting since before the whole technocratic thing came about. And I basically have kind of foreseen the whole technocratic movement before it happened. And I've even been saying how, unfortunately, um, the white hats, as they're called, even the people who are pushing for the positive change, they're still working within a system that supports the technocratic corruption, unfortunately. So, it's like it's not so black and white again. Even if there are improvements, even if they are improving things, they're still working within a system of corruption that is going to empower the technocrats to dominate. And I've been saying throughout many different readings for years now that those who are the elite, basically the corrupt elite, you could say the deep state if you want to go there. Um, they're trying to take over the world through corporate power, and that is to use corporations to replace governments. That's what technocracy is. That's what the technocratic movement is doing. Basically, get you so that you are dependent upon their technology. That's not just the general public, but even the countries themselves are dependent upon the technology. I mean, look at the United States with what am I trying to say? What is the company? I can't even think of what it's called right now. Not Nvidia, but the AI company, whatever it is, that is working with the United States now. It's basically baked into the country itself, kind of like the Federal Reserve. It's not really part of the government, but it basically is. And so this is what's happening with corporations to the point where the power goes to the corporations, and then if people don't follow along, well, then you don't get access to their technology. And look at where we're at with cell phones. Imagine if you were banned from having an Android or a Apple phone or smartphone. If you were banned from both of those companies at the same time, you'd be screwed. You wouldn't even be able to park in some cities because some cities require you to have a cell phone to pay for the parking where you park. I mean, you could park, but you might get a ticket. Things like that. You probably couldn't even hold down a job, you know. So many things are app based. So once people get hooked on the technology, those companies rule the world. And that's the plan. And that's what I've been saying for a long time. And we're seeing that playing out in the US right now. A lot of disclosure, although I don't feel that disclosure is going to happen overnight. And by disclosure, I mean ET disclosure. I don't think that the government is going to willingly admit this stuff. I think that is going to be more of something that happens from grassroots, from the people, slowly over time until it just becomes so obvious that there's no way for them to really deny it anymore. But I don't really see the US government just admitting it. Not completely. There obviously are people within the government who are trying to get it out, but not as a like unified voice. I don't see the government doing that anytime soon. Um, Aspects of it are leaking out. Technology, I do see slowly being released to the public, but that is very sparingly. People currently are talking about what is it called? The Three-Eye Atlas comet slash spacecraft. The way I see it is that it is actually a comet that has been turned into a spacecraft. Um, I do see that being the case. I did a Patreon post about this where I was saying that there are different ETs that I've been talking about for a very long time that are healing the Earth, and I've even talked about how some of them have even come to Earth. I believe that was around March of 2025, um, around the UK, which was interesting because right after I said that, there was an invitation for Donald Trump to visit, I think it was King Charles or someone like that, in the general area that I was saying that they were going to. So I was like, what's that about? But regardless, I was seeing them coming down in human form. Like they basically look like humans. In other words, there's many different kinds, of course, but blending in with human society is what I'm getting at here. And those ETs are very much so trying to help elevate humanity, whereas the other group of ETs that I'm seeing in this Three-Eye Atlas are a little bit different. They're a little bit more indifferent towards humanity in particular, is the sense that I get. They don't have quite as strong as a connection, but they're still trying to heal the earth because they want to heal the earth because the earth is a very good resource for life. And just like any creature, like humans, we see animals in the forest and we we if they're an endangered species, we put them on an endangered species list to try and preserve their existence. That's just kind of a natural thing. And so they want to help stabilize the earth. The way that I was seeing it was that there was kind of like a rip, not like literally like a rip that's going to be a problem for humanity in the energy field of Earth. But what I saw was there's just like this like the energy just wasn't filled in. Like the auric field can be kind of smaller or bigger, it can kind of decrease. It's very similar to when you look at a brain scan. You can see if somebody's been drinking a lot, you can kind of see the areas where their brain um, functioning has maybe gone down a little bit. It's kind of like that. And what I was seeing was there were light beings. I don't really know who they are or what they are. I just got the sense that there's light beings, whatever they are, whatever that is. I don't know. But they were holding that energy in place to keep the Earth safe from a kind of more negative ET influence that was trying to attack the Earth and basically lower the human vibration and just kind of basically feed off of the negative energy of Earth and keep us in what people would call the matrix, so to speak. So I did see for September actually there being some sort of battle going on with ETs and that being part of it. This was before I did my reading on the Three Eye Atlas, which seems to be kind of like a cleanup crew, is kind of the sense that I get it about it. That they're kind of coming through after the fact to kind of stabilize things. So I don't see it really being a negative thing. I do see whenever there's a positive thing that happens energetically, not necessarily positive, but whenever there's a shift in energy, chaos can happen. So even when something positive happens, it can create chaos in your life. Well, thank you everyone for watching this channel and taking the time to hear me out. If you would like more information, you can find my YouTube channel, Psychic Thai, on YouTube. Tai, not like Thai food with an H, but Thai like Tai Chi. My dad taught martial arts, so I got the Chinese spelling. But I also have a website, psychicthai.com. You can book readings there, or you can find my YouTube channel from that location as well, if you would like. Thank you for watching and have a great day.